Canon Films, the home of high-powered, high-voltage motion picture entertainment. With the screen's
Welcome to That's Canon, a podcast talking about the Canon film series and other similar movies. This is episode 22, and I'm your host, Phil.
And I'm Greg.
And Greg, through the power of science
Oh my God.
and the gods above us, we're going to talk about the Luigi Cozzi Hercules movie.
Science and the gods, which arguably in this movie are the same power.
Yeah. How, I guess we'll get into it later, but how weird. Like they started, it reminded me of the Always Sunny episodes where they go, democracy will prevail, right? Isn't that what they said?
That like that whole courtroom episode where
yes,
Mac does that like science bitch speech.
So weird.
So good.
So we watched the Luigi Cozzi Hercules movie starring Lou Ferrigno and a whole bunch of other actors that who really cares who they are.
Yeah, no, just kind of, I mean, maybe if we were more into Italian cinema at this time, we might know them, but yeah, a whole bunch of nobodies.
And holy moly, is this like one of the most Italian cinema movies that we've seen, I think,
so
since we started
Italian.
this. Like, we won't even get super in-depth into the movie right now, but a lot of this movie, especially the beginning, just seemed to be these scenes that just blended into the next one without any real connective tissue between them.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Did you get that feeling?
It was very disjointed. The only thing, because I know what you're talking about in the very beginning, where it's kind of like flashing over the credits and stuff. It felt very disjointed, and which seems like a very like kind of B Italian, like a canon movie, honestly. But
yeah,
it more so than usual. And I'll preface this. I'll say this now, and when I'll see what you think. I think we actually watched the sequel by accident.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because that was the only way that I could reconcile what we were seeing in the beginning with, objective movie structure.
Right.
Because the only thing I could think of was that, this is just the flashback to what happened in the first movie to try and remind the audience, I guess. But the fact that I can't 100% tell for sure, like it could just as well be the disjointed jumble of Hercules doing Hercules things that we think it is. It could be just that. It could be that bad.
So I'll say this. It was extremely hard to find a copy of Hercules. And when you Google Hercules, this is the one that shows up. I would say 99% of the time.
Okay. I mean, like we've talked about this in other episodes too, where a lot of these Italian movies that try to capitalize on other fads, or even really any of them, like they do weird things with the titling and adding random numbers to make you think that they're a sequel when they're really not. Like they don't make it easy for us to know that this is, whether or not this is the first one.
Right.
It's hard to tell just without just watching them all and figuring it out for yourself.
Because Zombie
3, right?
Zombie 2 or Zombie is like Dawn of the Dead 2 over in Italy.
That's right. Yeah, like the first zombie movie was sort of trying to be a Dawn of the Dead 2, but they couldn't get the rights to it, so they just called it Zombie.
And then I think
like sequels to that.
Alien Contamination was didn't they said they advertised it as Alien 3 over in Italy.
You're right, they did, yeah. Another Luigi Cozzi movie, by the way.
Yep. So this is definitely one of those times, and I think especially back in the 70s and 80s, Italy had no chill about lying.
Just straight up, yep, this is Alien 2, this is Alien 3, this is Conan 2.
Which I think
did not give a fuck.
Is kind of great. Like that they just straight up lie and go, this is the big American sequel, right?
Yeah, you do have to kind of respect the brazenness a little bit, don't you?
It's definitely one of those things you'll never see nowadays.
No.
People are going to be so litigious.
Yes.
If Italy was like, this is
IP.
Iron Man 4, Disney would own Italy after everything is said and
Oh
done.
my God. What wouldn't we pay to see an Italian knockoff Iron Man movie?
It would be so great.
I'm sure that they've got to be out there. We'll have to do some research on that. That would be a good and similar movies episode of this podcast.
It'd be like that Italian Spider-Man meme, right?
Italian Spider-Man, yeah. Oh man.
So yes. In fact, in my write-up here, because looking for this movie, I started watching a copy of it. And this conversation is going to be very interesting, to put it out there. We actually had a week break. I watched the movie, and then Greg messaged me and was like, I'm not feeling that well. Head's a little fuzzy.
Got a black lung pop.
Yeah. So we took a week break. It's been a week since I've seen this. I hated every minute of watching it when I originally saw it. So I was obviously not going to rewatch it.
Oh, hell no.
So it'd be interesting to have this conversation where it's fresh in your mind. But to me, it's this horrible afterthought.
How much of the true deep bullshit am I going to remind you of and make you hate it even more?
But so the beginning of my notes, it goes, when I started watching the first copy of it, it goes, what am I watching? These credits are super long. Are these scenes of the movie that they're showing, or am I accidentally watching the sequel? And then I searched for a new copy. I stopped watching the movie. I searched for a new copy. I start rewatching it, and I'm like, okay, this copy looks a lot better. But these weird scenes keep showing up.
It still felt like you were watching a sequel, and I think we were.
But it's called, in the movie, the title is The Adventure of Hercules. There's no number 2 in it, in the movie.
Nope. No obvious indication. Yeah, it's that weird approach to movie continuity or cinematic universe continuity that you just don't know. And it probably doesn't matter all that much, honestly.
It's one of those things that you see it, especially now in movies. We're getting off a tangent here because I don't think we have a lot to say about this movie. Where sequels don't have numbers.
Yeah, what happened to that? I mean, I feel like it kind of went out of favor in the early 2000s. You just kind of stopped seeing. I mean, really, well, I take that back. I mean, we just talked about Iron Man. Those had numbers on them. Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. But
so
for the most part,
I want to say Iron Man 3, that was it. That was the last Marvel movie that I can really think of that has a number designator to it.
I kind of do miss it for, if nothing else, the clarity, because especially with these soft reboots that we've been getting in recent years, it's really hard to tell. I mean, we were just talking about The Thing before we started recording. That's another really good episode, or a really good example of that, where it's just The Thing.
Yeah.
You don't know. It's not, I mean, it's a prequel. You wouldn't know that by looking at the title.
I was on HBO Max the other night and I saw, The Thing. Oh, it's the new thing.
Oh, it's the 2011 one.
But it's, it's the same way with Terminator. Like after Terminator 3, it goes Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis, Terminator Dark Fate.
You have no freaking clue what sequence you should watch them in.
Yes.
None whatsoever.
First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, Rambo Last Blood.
Honestly, is it some artistic reason that they wanted to do it? They thought it's lacking creativity to just slap a number on it. I mean, what was their reasoning?
It's too daunting for a new fan to come in and go, I have to watch 5 other movies to see this. But Fast and the Furious, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, they don't shy away from that. They're like, this is Fast 8. It's Fate, like F8, right? I don't know. Maybe because those have
onto something there, though.
Those have one cohesive story, while you could watch individual Terminator films post number 2, and it doesn't really matter which one you see.
That's true, yeah.
So I guess maybe it's just dependent on, but I don't know, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you really need to watch all of them in a row to kind of get. While each movie has its own contained story, there's an overall thread that you need to watch as well.
Yeah, I think it must just I mean, I think it sounds like it's just fallen out of general popularity, but there's still, yeah, as we've between Fast and Furious and Marvel movies, they're still holdouts for using the classic numbering system. I think you're right. I think by and large they were probably shying away from it because they were worried that this movie's so expensive to produce. I don't want to risk turning people away because they feel like they need to have seen the first one first.
Yeah.
They want people to go see Thor Dark World, even though they didn't see the first one because they spent so much freaking money making it.
But still, I would like to see Ghostbusters 3 colon afterlife,
Sure, yeah.
right?
There's nothing wrong with a proper subtitle to give it like a distinct flair and to kind of maybe make it more, give it a little bit of indication of what the story is going to be about. But just give me the number two.
Yeah. Episode 4, it was fine to not have it in the very beginning because it was confusing. Where's number 1, 2, and 3? But then people, like they caught on with what was going on there. But yeah, let's bring back the numbering system. I think the Conjuring universe is kind of confusing. You have like 4
Oh
Annabelle
God, The Conjuring,
movies, but they don't.
Annabelle Origins or whatever the
Annabelle
freaking.
comes home. Annabelle, goes to space. Like, which one am I
Oh
supposed
God,
to
but
watch
Leprechaun
first?
in space,
Oh
Annabelle in
yes.
space. Oh my God.
Just give me some numbers. Let's bring it back. It's okay. I'm not gonna watch your movie because it's the 20th in the series, right?
Of course not. Yeah.
I know I don't need to see all the James Bond movies in order to get the new one, but
Just give
let's
me a
do it.
number.
So, anyways, Hercules,
Hercules in space, which is kind of applicable here.
pretty much because the movie starts off and you get all these small clips of the Hercules movie before this one. So you see Lou Ferrigno, he's like destroying chariots.
Just
He kills a flying thing.
doing okay. We got to talk about that flying thing because that's like some serious WTF right up front. So
Yes.
just to set the stage a little bit, like yeah, we're getting kind of flashes of what I assume are the labors of Hercules from the first movie. He's fighting random crap, and it's kind of like cut in with these like Star Trekky opening scenes of planets and
You
comets
say
and things.
Star Trek?
You bet I did.
I say Superman the movie. That's what I wrote down. It
Yeah, I
seems
guess.
so Superman the movie. Like in the beginning, it has like the credits that like fly up and you're going past different worlds to get to the planet Krypton. But I could
That's
also
fair.
see Star Trek as well,
Right? Like
especially
the
the first
opening,
Star Trek film.
yeah, where it's or even the I was thinking of the TNG title, like the
Yeah.
opening where you kind of get the different planets and things, and you see the Enterprise. Like it definitely feels like that. If you can imagine one of those things, that's what this opening credit sequence was random space scenes with Hercules doing strongman things. But you get to this one where it looks like he's fighting a giant robot, like a square robot bird,
Yes. It's so
right?
weird. Have you ever seen what's the movie? Clash of the Titans, the original one?
Yes,
He has
with
that robot owl.
the robot owl. Yeah,
Yeah.
which I mean, I was going to get into that later, but like that, this whole movie feels like Alien Contamination was a cop out or a cash grab to cash in on the popularity of Alien. This, I assume, is cashing in on the sword and sandals genre in general, but Clash of the Titans specifically, I feel like,
Oh yeah.
with the whole idea of like the mixing of fantasy elements with weird like vaguely steampunky technology, which I guess is what that stupid like robot bird thing was. It just felt like it came out of nowhere though.
It did. It's such a weird intro credit thing. It's kind of like Rocky, right? Let's show what they did last movie so we get you prepared for the next movie.
Yeah.
But the intro credits, they go on for 10 minutes. 10 excruciating
It
minutes.
felt like a long time. I didn't realize it was 10 minutes. Yeesh.
And then at the end, like a city blows up, just like Planet Krypton. But then we get into the heart of the movie here,
Yes.
in which we see this woman. She's tied around a boulder,
Hmm.
and they're summoning a fire demon. And
Quote unquote fire demon.
what they actually summon is the electricity gremlin from Gremlins 2.
Yeah,
It,
it's kind of it's basically like a lightning monster. That's the only effect they could do.
isn't that insane? They couldn't have drawn it red.
Seriously, yeah. Like if all you can do is lightning bolty looking things, at least make it red instead of blue
Yeah,
for the thing you call the fire monster.
the fire
Ugh.
Andios, the fire monster.
Yes.
They have to sacrifice a woman to the fire monster in order to keep it, I guess, happy.
Yes.
Now,
Typical, yeah. Human sacrifice.
the guy summoning it looks like Rufio from Hook.
Rufio.
Oh, yeah.
Fire monster.
So the fire monster does end up killing the girl, and there's this charred husk that actually looked pretty cool.
It did look clear. Yeah, that was actually, I was like just railing on the sets and the costumes up to this point. It's like, oh man, this looks terrible. And then
It
I actually
does.
wrote, whoa, nice smoking corpse.
That's where all of the budget went right
into,
there.
into that one cool makeup effect, that one dummy. Yeah,
And it was
kind of like smoking beef jerky. It's great.
it was kind of like smoking beef jerky. And then we see this character named Urania. She's a blonde. She kind of looks like, I guess, any other sword and sandal woman. She has like the curly hair,
Yeah.
wearing kind of like a bustier type deal.
Okay, we have to talk about the costumes that they put the women in this movie. It's let's call it what it is. It's lingerie.
Oh yeah.
It's 100% lingerie.
It is 100% the stereotypical female sword and sandal costume that you see in video games and just
Yep.
fantasy art.
Yes, the classic like damsel in distress trope. She's wearing practically nothing, especially for these characters who are supposedly not necessarily warriors, but kind of, they're not like peasant women for sure. And you think
Exactly.
that they'd be wearing something a little bit more protected to be out and adventuring, but no, basically just lingerie.
Their boobs are pushed up to their chin. Their skirts are up to their bikini zone.
Yep.
They are not ready to tackle the hardships and rigors of the wild with how they're
even a little
dressed.
bit. No. They ain't taking down no fire monsters wearing swimsuits, basically.
Yeah. And, women, I'm not saying that you have to look bad when you adventure, but you can't be wearing this stuff. 100%. The arrow is going to go right through your chest.
Yes.
But they're very put on. Like they have their makeup, they have all of their jewelry on. And so we meet two of our main characters, Urania and Adriana, right?
I knew Urania because the name sounds like urine.
Yes.
But I could not remember the life of me the other one.
So Urania is the more important of the two characters.
Yeah.
Adriana, she's the brunette. So she's the brunette counterpart to Urania, the blonde. They call each other sisters, but they're not sisters. They're just like really good friends, right? Oh, yeah. We're sisters.
Yes.
And Urania and Adriana are like, what are we going to do? Let's go to the little people and ask them for help because they're very cunning.
Let's go to the little people. Yes, they use cunning to survive.
Which, thank God for one thing, they didn't cut to like a Munchkin land.
Okay, that is 100% what I thought was going to happen, though.
Yes, same here.
As soon as you hear this horribly creative name for a village of little people, that's exactly what I was expecting. Just a village of like real life little people who they pass off as some kind of mystical elf tribe to.
Yes.
Oh my God. Thank God they didn't do that.
So Adriana and Urania, they go into a forest, and this mystical forest, and there's a torii gate there from Japan for some reason.
Bright red too.
Exactly. Under the torii gate is a big fire pit. The fire lights up, and we get this horrible optical effect of superimposed people inside the fire.
Yeah, it is pretty bad.
And this is Greg, I'm going to need you to fill this part in because my copy of the movie had no sound.
Nope, I did not hear a thing either for about, what, 15, 20 seconds? The
Which-
sound on this copy just drops out. So whatever the little people told Urena to do, I hope it was good because we didn't hear it.
I thought that it was probably one of the best choices in the film at the moment. I was like, holy crap, how cinematic. Like they're talking to each other, but we can't hear it, but we can see them talking to each
How
other.
cinematic.
This must be like super secretive to where they even don't even want the audiences to realize what's going
Wow.
on. But
Luigi
then
Cozzi paying like 4D chess with his movie here.
I know. And then I realized, no, the copy is fucked and there's no sound right now.
Because you can see their mouths moving. I
Yeah.
thought the same thing. Is like, oh, this is kind of a creative choice. Like it's just like a sound. But I thought that they just hadn't started talking yet. And then you start to see their mouths moving and the superimposed over the fire people. Yeah, it's like, no, they're talking. We just can't hear it.
Exactly. Meanwhile, in space, because we see planets
In space.
flying by each other, we see Zeus talking to Hera, or is it Athena?
I don't. Hera was one of the rogue gods.
So then it must be
I don't know who it
Athena.
was. Yeah.
It's Zeus and Athena, and they're talking to each other. They're just floating in space,
Yeah. Over what I guess is Mount Olympus.
which is such a weird thing to just have your characters floating and not really giving them any weight, anything to like really stand on.
I'm sure it was cheap to produce though.
Oh,
Trying to map them into
100%.
something like a proper stage or something, or a proper set.
Zeus is talking to Athena about how the moon is going to crash into Earth.
For some reason.
And it's kind of like Majora's Mask.
Oh,
The
we
moon
don't do a
is-
lot of video game references on this show.
There we go.
Yeah.
The moon is going to crash into Earth. They need Hercules to go down and retrieve Zeus's 7 thunderbolts that he lost because Zeus, I guess, is a complete loser.
He misplaced between the seat cushions.
Yes. So they call upon Hercules, the strongest Ken doll in the world, because as they call upon Hercules, we see Lou Ferrigno's chiseled physique.
Beaming down to Earth.
It's rotating on Lazy Susan. And
Oh my God, you're right. It is.
and he looks like a Ken doll. He's wearing this loincloth
Yeah.
that hides his genitals and just makes him look like a really buff Ken doll.
Yeah. And the fact that he's like rotating, he looks like, and he's
Yeah.
all like oiled up too. He looks like a like a barbecue chicken on a spit or
Yes.
something.
He does. He does. Tasty, delicious barbecued Ferrigno. That sounds like it could be a dish. Yeah, I'd like one barbecued Ferrigno. Ah,
That'd be great to do, like pass off at a barbecue place, just to like make it look like you're some barbecue expert, just to try and make the waiter think that they're stupid for not knowing what it is.
like what's a barbecued Ferrigno? I don't know. He seems really confident in himself, though.
You don't have barbecue Ferrigno?
I'm
I
not
never.
eating here.
1 star.
So then the film relies on a transition that they will use quite often throughout the film. Lou Ferrigno turns into a living laser and shoots down
Pew, 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 pew.
into Earth. As he
Yep.
reappears in the forest, he's on his horse.
Yeah, where did that horse come from? He didn't leave Olympus with it.
No, he didn't. But he's got a horse now. And what I love about this movie is that they do crossovers with the Marvel universe, because Lou Ferrigno takes like 5 steps with his horse, and all of a sudden the man thing, a swamp monster, comes out of nowhere, because they're not even in the swamp, Greg. There's no
Nope.
swamp around
Just the
them.
woods. That swamp
It's-
man had to like commute to get to this fight.
Yeah. So Man Thing appears. They start doing acrobatics. Like Ferrigno is jumping around all over the place. It's pretty impressive. And when Hercules hits the swamp monster,
Oh God.
they do the flash thing like an old Batman episode. It doesn't go like wham, but it flashes a primary color really quick.
I thought that this was going to be like a 1 or 2 punch per movie thing that they do, but literally throughout the entire movie, every time he throws a punch and hits someone with it, we get like 3 or 4 frames of bright primary color, like you said, and
Yeah.
it becomes so nauseating by the end.
And not only is the primary colors nauseating, but the fake fog filter that they overlay on top of the
Oh, you're
scene.
right. Like that weird blue cloud, right?
Yes. It's so weird. I understand that they're trying to bring ambiance to what we're watching, because obviously, like, the man thing looks horrible. He looks like a hairy piece of shit.
Some kind of like budget Sasquatch.
Yeah, and Ferrigno, as awesome as he is not a trained like fighter, and they had to
Or an
have him
actor.
in here because there's no body double in the world that will compare to Lou Ferrigno, right?
No.
But every fight scene, yes, is overly long, and it always ends in just like the limpest of noodles, because he just stabs the man thing with a stick, and then the man thing disappears, and then there's a cartoon lightning bolt.
Oh my God. That was so baffling to me that, like, wait a second, the Sasquatch monster is turning into a lightning bolt?
Yes, it's a video game
What?
logic. It is Legend of Zelda video game logic, where you kill
That's
something
genius.
and it turns into a thing. It turns into a item that you
Yeah, it's an
grab.
item drop. He's looting the corpse of that Sasquatch monster. That's genius. I didn't think about that. This is a video game.
It is probably one of the best video game movies ever.
Perfect.
As Hercules picks up the thunderbolt and kind of holds it up into the sky, we cut back to outer space, where we see our 4 evil gods:
Yes.
Flora, Aphrodite, Poseidon, and Hera. And they have a blue chalk outline around them because they're in space.
Pew, 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 pew.
And they're already going, damn it, Hercules got a lightning bolt.
That didn't take long. Ooh.
It's pretty comical that they're always like, oh man, Hercules here got a lightning bolt. Like he just got to Earth and he just found one
Within like 5 freaking seconds.
So the movie is 128 minutes long. There's 7 lightning bolts. These gods should know that Hercules has to find one every 15 minutes in order to keep pace with this movie.
The gods should know that they're in a shitty Italian ripoff movie.
Exactly. So the 4 gods, they talk and they go, we need to get Gloros. And I'm probably saying this name wrong. They need to get Gloros to come because he has the strength of a demigod. And Flora is going to meet Gloros down on Earth, which Gloros rides up on his steed. He's wearing the whole, garb and get up of like a Roman Empire.
Yeah, he's like a legionnaire or something.
And they go to like this, I will say, pretty cool temple area. It has like heads like Olmec from Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Oh yeah, like
strewn about it,
like big foam heads looked like they were carved out of stone. Yeah, there's some effort put in there.
Fire. They had like smoke machine going, and then Flora shows up, and Flora and Gloros are talking about how they need to find the tomb of King Minos, an ancient wizard. And Gloros is given a pickaxe by Flora to release the king from his tomb, because even though they had to find the tomb, they're actually right there.
Well, that's convenient.
How convenient is this? Because the way that Flora makes it sound, it's like, we have to find this place. And then they turn around, they're like, it's right there.
Yeah, like I was expecting some kind of time filling of, dungeon delving, and he's got like send this warrior down, and he's got to do some kind of like Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade kind of like trials to get to the tomb. But no, this sarcophagus is just sitting out in open air on a platform right behind him.
They don't explain why Flora can't just open it. I guess they kind of do, right? Because Flora goes, Gloros, go open the tomb. Gloros goes over there with his little pickaxe. He opens it up, and Gloros is even kind of like, well, that was easy. And Flora's like, well, he's going to kill you now because he needs to take your strength.
Yeah, he's just bones, and he's like a skeleton sitting there in the
yes, he is a skeleton. And Minos then he like transitions from bone into human, and we finally get to see this guy. Now, I'm assuming, based off of the dialogue, that Minos was the bad guy in the first movie as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. It's got to be like, oh, he's back. And because the way that they refer to him like they're expecting the audience to know the name. Because you
Yeah.
see, I mean, we didn't see that. We don't know that at this point, but we see flashes of Hercules fighting him in the beginning credits, the kind of like the refresher, and ends up being the
Yes.
same guy. So it's like, that's got to be just like the villain from the first movie resurrected.
And the flashbacks are so shitty. It's like red and blue. The
Oh
flashback,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the effect that they put over
kind of
it,
weird filter.
instead of making it just like old timey, or assuming that their
Sepia
audience
tone.
is smart enough to go, this isn't happening right now because it's a flashback, they put this horrible filter on top of it.
Yeah.
So yes, Minos is resurrected and he's told that you must kill Hercules. And then we cut back to Hercules, who's riding on his horse, and he comes up on dead creature things. They look like brown blobs on the
Poop
ground.
monsters.
And it's really confusing. They don't put any context behind it. And then Hercules immediately finds Urania, right?
Yeah, running out of like he's running through the woods randomly out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's oh, that's right. He meets the other one, not Urania, but
Oh, he meets
Adriana. Adriana's like, help me. We need to free my friend Urania. And then they take two
that's right.
steps and they
Who
come
took
to
her? The slime people.
yeah, they take two steps and they're in this open field, and Urania is just tied up to a post with a cave behind them that looks like an open mouth with glowing eyes. And Hercules frees her, and then more swamp creatures come out of nowhere, and there's another fight.
It's like at this point in the movie, it reminded me of an episode of Power Rangers. And these slime things, they're the putties from Power Rangers. It's just like a filler fight that they throw in to not really challenge the heroes all that well, but just to kind of like an excuse to have a fight scene before they get to the big bad. This whole movie is kind of like an episode of Power Rangers.
It is. It's
random trash mobs that they throw at the hero just to waste time.
It's very odd. And it's very odd that during this fight, all three heroes agree there's too many bad guys. We can't defeat them all, even though every time we see Hercules hit one of them, it immediately dies.
Within like 2 or 3 punches, it's like the easiest victories ever.
Yeah. So they go inside that cave that I described that has like the open mouth and the glowing eyes. When the heroes enter the cave, the eyes glow even more, and it scares off the swamp monsters back into their not swamp forest.
Yeah, the very dry forest.
As they go inside the cave, they're walking horizontally across the film because the background is painted, so they can't interact with the background at points because it's not actually there. They have to look around
and
imagine that there's a cave, Lou Ferrigno. Eventually they do get to the real set, and
it also looks like shit.
Yes, it looks like they went to a real cave, but instead of lighting it really well with like blues and just like low lights, they lit it with reds. It's all red.
Yeah, it looked like that scene in the Apple where they're supposed to be in hell. Remember?
Yes.
And the only reason that we know that is because they just bathed everything in a harsh red light that is like practically blinding.
I get that they want to make it look evil, and maybe like sword and sandal movies in the 80s. That was the answer. Light it red.
Evil, scary.
And it's evil because out from the evil red light comes Urail. I'm probably saying her name wrong. It's this, she's this very pretty woman in a blue dress, and she's beckoning Hercules to go down deeper into the cave as there's a safer exit down yonder that you can't see. Don't mind how fucking creepy this cave is.
Don't mind all of the creepy statues that looked like they were real people. Wink, wink. Not a Medusa.
Hercules and Urania, they even talk. They're like, wow, these statues are so lifelike that are strewn about your cave. They look like you captured them in moments of terror.
This was the runner-up for quote of the week was said by Lou Ferrigno here, where he says, well, not him, the poor guy they got to dub him,
Yes.
says, these statues look as quiet and still as mummies. Oh, they're statues.
They're statues.
Statues look like statues.
Exactly.
They are the thing that you compare quiet and still things to. Not mummies. What?
It's
you idiot.
It's written. They're trying to write poetry here, Greg.
Yeah,
Poetry is
old-timey sounding.
very hard
epic.
to write, and it's very, very hard to make it sound, as you just said, epic.
It just sounds stupid.
Yes, more than likely, it's going to sound stupid.
Actually, that reminded me. So up into the scene, the going back a little bit, where he's fighting the slime monsters. We should note that is the first time in the movie that Lou Ferrigno says anything.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's silent for the first 25 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, he's just there. I mean, you used the Ken doll description before. Like, he's literally just there to look pretty. That's it.
Oh yeah.
They don't want him saying a whole lot.
He's just beefcake.
Yeah, just beefcake. His first line is like, "Who took her?" When, the sister was coming up to get his help.
Yeah.
It's like the most unceremonious entrance for like an epic hero into a movie that you could possibly imagine.
You think like when he would get down, when he got shot down to earth by Zeus's lightning bolt, he'd land and he'd be like, "It's time to mess things up."
Yeah,
or, like
some kind of goofy, like heroic one-liner, anything. He just lands and he's just there on the horse and just starts riding away without saying a goddamn thing.
They gotta kick it off. So the three heroes
sorry to derail.
are following this lady down deeper into the cave, and as they're trying to find the exit, there's laser monsters that show up out of like nowhere, right? They come out of the walls of the cave or something like that.
Yeah, I think they were like wearing the same kind of slime people costumes, but they couldn't do the same monsters twice in a row. So they just decided to like rotoscope them out with weird green light.
Yes.
And they're cave light monsters.
I will say I love rotoscoping. It's such a cool thing to think that they drew over someone to like make an effect. But the fact that they were just like, they're lasers.
They're just green
So
light
lazy.
lasers.
They're in a cave. It should be a cave creature.
Yeah, some kind of rock monster. Like, save the weird dirt slime rock monsters for the cave. Do the light monsters outside.
Yeah. Also, Hercules' answers to everything is just to punch it.
Well, yeah, of course.
So Hercules. he punches these living lasers and they blow up. And then Hercules is like, "There's the exit to the cave. Go, women." I'm for some reason, despite the fact that we're at the exit of the cave, I'm going to go back and kill that other person.
Seriously.
Because there's probably a lightning bolt inside of that.
Just, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, I've got to fight this boss monster now.
Yes.
Just get away.
Hercules goes back and he picks up a shield, a mirror shield.
Wink, wink.
And he picks up a sword, and like the woman, the evil woman in the blue dress, is kind of taunting Hercules in the cave. He's like, "I'm over here. No, I'm over here." And then she starts talking about how she's going to turn him into stone by looking at him. But what's really weird, though, is that they've looked at each other before. So this is obviously a power that this Medusa can turn off
Just
and
kind
on.
of at will, which makes no sense.
Because the whole point of the Medusa is you look at it and then you turn to stone. And I don't think Lou Ferrigno, I mean Hercules, realized that he picked up a mirror shield, but he like sits it down on a
Like a
cave
rock or
wall.
something, yeah.
There's no fight. There's nothing to lead up to this. The Medusa creature just turns the corner, sees it. She doesn't turn to stone though. She just turns into a Medusa.
It's
Okay.
Like they tried so hard to rip off the already kind of cheesy Medusa scene from Clash of the Titans, and
Yeah.
it just somehow looks so much worse. Like
Yes.
the stop motion in Clash of the Titans was charming, but it still was like not great for the time it came out. It was like 1981 or something like that.
Yeah.
This somehow found a way to look worse. The Medusa puppet just looked like it was made out of unpainted red clay.
Yeah, it looked
terrible.
It looked like a brown turd. And there's one
it did.
point where in the mirror shield, they cut really close to someone's real face,
Oh yeah,
but with like mud on there.
yeah, like muddy red makeup, and just to get that close up of like the eyes, like
Yeah,
shifting back and forth, looking for him.
really weird. Hercules
Ugh.
is hiding behind a pillar and he can hear the Medusa creature creeping up. And he just turns around a corner and just slices the head off. There's no fight between the Medusa
No,
monster and Hercules. It's just dead.
no struggle. I mean, he's got to get these lightning bolts every 15 minutes, Phil. There's no
Yes,
time for a long, drawn out, exciting, well choreographed action scene.
nothing.
Off with his head.
We don't even see the lightning bolt show up. We cut to the evil gods up above and they go, damn it, he got another lightning bolt.
He got another one. We're fucked.
And then they go, Minos, he fucked off across the world. He's not even helping us anymore.
The evil king betrayed us.
Exactly. It's such
Huh?
a evil thing for a weird thing for evil people to go, I can't believe someone's not doing what we told them to do.
I can't believe this evil, twisted king monster is not obeying
The
orders.
leopards
Ugh.
ate my face? What?
Surely not in my face. Face eating leopards in my evil syndicate?
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. But if you thought that was weird, we cut to Hercules and the women fucking around in a forest, and we see these creepy white dolls that are hung from the trees, Greg. And I forgot who it was, but one of them goes, they look like lost souls. And Urania confirms this suspicion by going, they are demigods and adventurers. I don't know how she knows this.
She just is. She's like the walking exposition character in this.
Yes.
She's always got some stupid story, some stupid myth about, oh, this really normal looking forest is the mythical forest of Ublu, and such heroes died here 1,000 years ago. Ugh.
Hercules is getting pissed and he starts like flexing his pecs and he starts screaming up into the sky.
He does, doesn't he?
And then the White Knight shows up out of nowhere and he has a laser battle axe.
Okay, this guy legitimately looked cool.
He did.
This kind of
What is he
the
doing
costume?
in this movie?
I don't know. He looks like, you know what? Okay, I'll throw another video game reference out there. It looked like a monster from like Dark Souls or something.
Yes.
Like a boss from Dark Souls. He was, if you can imagine, it was one of those, full plate mail outfits, but it was all spray painted with this kind of like matte white. It almost looked like it was made out of stone or snow or something. But it has like his face was fully covered with a helmet, like with kind of like eye slits in it. It was just a really cool looking costume. And yeah, it was like a staff or a halberd or something that was all made out of that rotoscoped, yellow light. It was just a really cool looking character. It's like, why are they? It seems like such a waste in this garbage movie.
Yeah. Again, it seems like these flashes of genius just muddled with crap. And again, you have this really cool looking bad guy, and the fight lasts for all of a minute because Lou Ferrigno just picks him up and impales him on a tree branch,
With
and then he
no
turns into a
struggle.
lightning bolt.
It's so disappointing.
And then all the creepy dolls disappear, but nothing happens with them. There's no like, they don't give the adventurers a reward. They don't do anything. They just disappear.
There's no
Why?
reward because there's no struggle. It's just
Exactly.
things happen.
You can't introduce elements into a movie and not have a payoff for it. You can't have Chekhov's gun without Chekhov shooting it, right? If you and me, we go into the woods and we're in a movie, and I go, look, Greg, that's your
Gred
adventurer
the Strong.
name, Gred the Strong. Gred the Strong, look, behold, it is the poison fish of Kalamazoo, and those who touch upon its evil spines die horrifically. And
I'll touch it then, boss.
but then like you don't, because the movie doesn't go through that plot thread. You're like, I'm about to touch it, but then it cuts to us doing 1,000 other things, and then the movie ends.
You tell me how poisonous and evil it is, and it's like, ooh, I better not touch that then. Let's get out of here. And then we never come back.
And then like maybe later on in the film, you get like gloves that even someone's like, you can hold the most poison of fish with this,
You're
and
right, I
not
could. Well,
and then
anyway.
but you just still never do it. You don't take the bait. You can't introduce these creepy dolls into the movie and
Yeah.
not have like a reason for it.
Yeah. It's just someone had ideas for mythical sounding cool things that they just wanted to throw in here and slap into the movie, and it just makes no difference whatsoever, because old Lou is just gonna impale some dude and get that lightning bolt in 5 seconds, and they're gonna be off.
Yep.
Yep.
And now we cut to probably some of the more confusing elements of the movie. And I was pretty confused about this. We cut to a mountain that looks like a head.
Oh yeah,
And
it's like we're in space again, right? It's
yeah,
kind of like this like floating stone head with a platform on top that you can stand on.
which is really weird because how did Minos get to outer space? But
I
who
don't
cares?
know. He was just sailing in the
Minos,
ocean a second ago.
yeah. Minos is now meeting this woman named Deedless. Deedless is wearing this helmet thing that looks like she has golden ears,
Yeah, she does, doesn't she? Yeah.
and she has like this cape that has the high neck around it. It's
Like a
very odd.
it's like a it looked like a Dracula, like a
Yeah.
hammy Dracula coat, cape, cloak.
And in between them is the sword of ice that can pretty much kill anyone. Deedless says that this weapon will allow science to triumph, but you can only use this sword once. Again, video game rules, right? Here's the most powerful sword in the game, but
Yep.
the most powerful thing that it can do, it can only do it once.
So it's a resource that you will hold in your inventory and never use the entire game.
Unless you're Minos. So Minos holds up the sword like he's He-Man. He holds it up like straight into the sky. I almost expect him to go like, I have the
The power.
power. Uh, it's so weird to do this. Maybe Daedalus is from the first film. Maybe there's like a history that we don't know.
Yeah, because she's not one of the kind of like mutineering gods that we saw earlier. She's not one of that kind of evil crew. She's
Yeah.
just some other also evil deity that wants to also help this king who is clearly someone who will betray you at any chance he gets.
Yes. Cut back. Somehow Urania, Hercules, and the other woman are at the beach now. And
right from that temperate deciduous forest to like a
yes,
tropical Greek beach.
exactly. Urania goes, hey, I have to summon the little people again. I'm going to go to that temple over there. And the camera turns around and there's just like this giant skull on 3 pillars with glowing eyes.
Whoa. It's not just any temple. It's the insert long ass mythical name for a hole in the rock. It's some evil mystical cave that's 1,000 years ago. So and so things happened here, and
it's insane.
Urania, she'll give you every freaking rock's life story if you ask her.
She has the exposition for days. As she talks to the little people, we can actually hear it this time.
That's right. Yeah.
They go, you need to go to the river Styx and defeat the fire demon. And then the little people give Urania some golden leaves that will give whoever eats them or holds them gills so they can go underwater.
They specifically say it will give you gills.
Yes.
Which will come into play later.
And when Greg says later, he means
right now,
pretty much instantly, because Urania and Hercules go to the edge of the water and they eat the leaves and they turn into lightning bolts. And then they go into the water.
They don't like you mentioned earlier, and it didn't key into me in my brain until just now. Like, whenever you think you're gonna get a cool effect, they just cop out and they just turn them into like a bolt and a ball of light that comes around. Like, you think, oh, we're gonna get like a cool transformation of like makeup effect gills on their necks, or they're gonna turn into like a half person, half mermaid monster or something like that. Something cool. Nope, just rotoscope them into light and they beam down into the ocean.
Exactly. It's
so lazy.
It is extremely lazy. They go into the ocean and they're highlighted with like colored pencils. There's no struggle at all
No,
They go and they meet some like Atlanteans,
I
right?
guess
And
yeah, they're underwater. I thought they were like supposed to be sirens.
maybe they're sirens.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they're using telepathy because they have the Wi-Fi signal coming from them, right?
They
It's
do,
the
yeah.
Wi-Fi signal.
Like the concentric rings of blue telepathy energy, but yeah, it looks like cartoon Wi-Fi.
They in these sirens, they're in the Temple of Thetis, which the temple looks like a seahorse.
Temple of Fetus? Is that really what the name of it was?
That's what I wrote down.
Oh my god. I wouldn't put a I would have it's a stupid movie.
The temple, it looking like a seahorse, pretty cool. And the Atlanteans, the sirens, they pretty much say like you need to go to the river Styx, move some bones around, and it'll protect you from Antis, the fire demon.
Oh, that's I
Uh
forgot about that whole like okay, that was why they went down there, right? To get
yeah,
something that would protect them from the fire monsters fire, but also
fire.
lightning.
Yes.
That's right.
And then for some reason, I guess Hercules doesn't truly understand why he's on Earth. And the sirens tell Hercules that, hey, the moon is going to crash into the Earth and you need to save everyone by getting these lightning bolts that you've already been collecting.
Just coincidentally.
How the fuck did Zeus not tell Hercules what to do?
Hey, like, hey Herc, I'm gonna beam you down to Earth right quick. Collect these lightning bolts, otherwise Earth is gonna go, or the moon is gonna go like deep impact.
Yeah,
And so you probably need to hurry and get those lightning bolts back to me so I can save everyone.
so weird.
You'd
Uh
think, yeah, he would give him some kind of indication, but no, thankfully he just happens to have been killing all of the right Thunderbolt monsters
yeah,
along the way.
exactly.
Shit, I gotta go back and kill that Gorgon. Oh man.
Uh so Hercules and Urania, they go back to the beach. They don't find their friend there.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
the brunette is mysteriously missing.
she's gone. But the Hercules, but the Hercules, the sirens have given Hercules and Urania a bomb to protect them from the fire demon. So stop. Those fucking sirens said that they had to go to the river Styx to get some bones to get the thing to protect them from the fire demon. But when they get back onto the beach, there's like like quick exposition of Hercules going like, "Well, good thing we got the bomb to
That was
protect us from the
easy.
fire demon."
Oh my
So
god. Insert scene here where they go and do the thing that the big
yes,
adventure of going down into Hades and having a
missing
cool
reel,
adventure and oh my god. Missing
right? That's all you could chalk it up to. They wrote
the,
the movie,
oh
they're
man.
filming it, and they're like, "We don't have enough money." So,
The intern at the film lab like dropped the film into
yeah.
like or he like spilled his coke on it and he's like, ugh. Uh-oh.
Lou's gonna be so pissed.
Lou's gonna be so I'm a Luigi. Why are you ruining my film?
Why are you ruining my film? Meatballs.
Sorry to any Italian listeners.
And then they find a shield in the beach, and they go, "Oh, this shield is owned by the people who sacrifice women to the fire monster."
Conveniently.
Cool. So Rufio is getting the
Oh.
brunette tied up, ready to get sacrificed.
Yep. Same
Where
boulder
the
as the beginning.
where the woman is getting sacrificed, it is night. It always cuts back to Hercules and Urania talking during the daytime.
Oh
So
my god. I didn't even notice. That's
that means
terrible.
that there are
Ugh.
so many time zones in between each other that it would be almost impossible for Hercules to save her.
To get there in time, yeah.
As Rufio summons the lightning fire demon, we see Hercules show up,
Out of
and
freaking nowhere.
he starts. Oh god! So the fire demon doesn't shoot fire, and he doesn't shoot lasers. The fire demon turns into a laser ball, and it starts bouncing around like a asshole around the temple, and Hercules is just like punching it and like grabbing it like a basketball and throwing it.
It's again, it's like they took the lazy way out. They said like, oh crap, animating this like wrote this fire monster out of lightning is way too hard, and I don't have the time or money to animate a whole fight sequence with him. He just they do their usual cop out. He becomes a ball of light, and Lou swings around in the air just until it dies.
Well, not before he punches it so hard that it orbits the Earth like Superman.
Oh, that's
And,
right.
and then it comes crashing down to Earth and it blows up and it turns into a lightning bolt.
It doesn't turn time back.
It doesn't. Because if it
Bummer.
did, then maybe we would have got our time back for watching this movie.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Also, Hercules got the bomb to protect him from this monster, but we never actually see him use it. So was it needed?
Oh, that's right. Because they say like you've got to put this stuff on head to toe for it to protect you.
Yeah.
I guess they just did that on the way. They took a bath in the
Yep.
bomb.
It's pretty bad. So we cut to the four gods in outer space, and they go, "Oh shit, he just killed the demon and got another thunderbolt."
Ooh.
Even though the thunderbolt, we'll rewind a couple seconds when the monster got orbited into the Earth and it crashed. It landed in the water, which we are safe to assume is nowhere near the temple that Hercules was fighting the demon. So now either we don't see Hercules go collect the thunderbolt, or the thunderbolt is there.
How do they even know it's dead? They didn't see it land. They're like thousands of miles away, and then we just get some stupid line from one of the sisters, like, "Oh, thank God he's dead. Now we can go." Blah 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 blah. Well, how did you know? Did you see him fall into the ocean 1,000 miles away in the daylight time zone?
It's so weird. Despite these four gods probably having the ability to strike down Hercules right now, they all decide to send Flora to Minos again to talk about killing Hercules. Now, we do know that Minos is in outer space with Daedalus, but
Not
Flora
anymore.
goes back to the Legends of the Hidden Temple where Minos is. He's just standing there looking out into outer space, not doing anything.
Just kind of being evil, thinking
Yeah.
evil thoughts.
And Flora even comes up and she's like, "Why the fuck haven't you killed Hercules yet?" And Minos is like, "I'm as strong as a god." And he pulls out his ice sword, his one-time use weapon that can kill anyone.
And he spends it here.
He uses it on Flora, who is now frozen and dead.
God. Again, though, he says this. Well, okay, this is the sword of ice, and he's going to banish her, quote, to the land of ice. And what do we get as a special effect? That's right, more lightning. God damn it.
Not only is he like, did he smite her, but he's also talking about science too. He's like, I'm going to bring science back. Science and the gods. A lot of science talk.
I'll jump ahead a little bit to my post-analysis here, but there's this whole like science versus the gods subplot that they tried terribly to shoehorn in here. Because there's a couple of throwaway lines earlier where he's like, oh, he's sailing away. Like, how? Like, the winds were going the other direction. He used his science to change the direction of the winds, and it's never talked about again.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be like subverting the gods' whims by science, but we get none of that. He has no science henchman who's like building all these machines that helps him overcome the magic of the gods. He's just using other magic that they just wrap in the word science.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, it could have been cool, but it comes up once in a while in these throwaway lines, and it's not done well at all.
Like many things in this movie.
Like everything.
Hercules and the women, they go back to the temple of the little people. And Urena goes, for some reason, she's like, I'm going to summon the Oracle of Death to talk to me. And she goes down into a temple. And alone. She goes to an altar that has like a glowing red skull. And there's a voiceover that goes, drink from the chalice. And Urena just does it. And she disappears into space.
Ooh, and wearing a different skimpy outfit now. Ooh.
Yes. And she talks to the little people in the astral plane. Why
is the Oracle of Death involved with the little people? Oracle of Death sounds like a bad guy, but the little people are good.
And all the little people do is tell us the same exact thing over again. that a moon is going to crash into the earth and kill everyone, and Hercules needs to collect the thunderbolts in order to stop it.
This is no new information, little people.
The only bit of information they give is they tell Urania she has to die in order to save the Earth, which there's a twist coming up.
Wink, wink.
As Urania is off into outer space, Hercules and the other woman are
and other attractive Italian lady.
yes. They're talking about Urania's powers to talk to the gods and how powerful she is. Unbeknownst to them, there are Amazonian warriors that are about to ambush them.
God.
And as they get ambushed, the other woman goes, Amazons of Scythia, warrior women. Their queen is the most evil of all.
Jeffrina of Bezos.
Yes. They all look the same, though. I couldn't tell if one of them was the queen, but Hercules just starts fighting them all until a magical net falls out of the sky and entraps Hercules.
Oh my God. By the way, though, they're all clearly like dudes in wigs.
Oh, yes.
It's very obvious.
It's a little embarrassing. We cut to Hercules. He's getting drugged away by the Amazon warrior women. The Amazon warrior women, now it's nighttime. They summon their queen, their Amazon queen. And
Spider Queen for some reason.
Because as we see Hercules, he's in a rope net in the shape of a spider web. Okay, pretty cool. I'll buy this. So Hercules, they start, he's kind of like struggling, right? He's like, oh, I'm in, the net and I don't want to die. And he wakes up and he just starts choking the Amazon warrior queen
with one hand
till
and no
she
effort.
Dies.
Until she also turns into barbecue.
Greg, they set up this whole thing of dialogue going, this lady is super strong and the most dangerous of Amazonian women.
Oh yeah,
and then
spider Amazon queen.
Hercules does a little S&M with her, and it's over. As she dies in her human form, she transforms into not a spider, because you would assume Hercules is on like a rope that looks like a spider's web, so she would transform into a giant spider.
You would think.
She turns into almost like this brown turd of a scorpion.
I thought it looked like a mermaid. Like a brown barbecue mermaid.
She turns into a brown barbecued mermaid. And then she disappears again into a lightning bolt.
Because that's all we got. That's the special effect we got. They've got one guy who knows how to do lightning, and that's it.
And then we get the moon like traveling towards us, like the Mystery Science Theater 3000 transition.
I remember at this point, like, it's come up a couple times, the whole like moon crashing in, but at this point it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I thought you were gonna be like, I remember at this point I really hated everything that I was doing.
At this point, I turned the movie off and went and ate some barbecue.
There you go. We cut back. Minos and Daedalus are talking with each other, and I guess they're just really upset by how Hercules is doing so well, and that science needs to prevail. And Minos asks to be turned into the god of tricks and chaos, which Daedalus apparently has the power to do. Transition, we see a skull mountain. And there's just a shit ton of fog everywhere.
Gotta get our money's worth out of that fog machine, guys.
Yes. And we've never seen this skull mountain before. It looks like Castle Grayskull from He-Man, which is now that I'm saying this more, you do realize that canon made Masters of the Universe.
Sidebar. When did that come out?
I want to say it was like late 80s.
God, do you think they reused the sets from Hercules for that?
I could see that.
They totally would. It's freaking canon. Save a buck.
So the three remaining gods are in this cave. in which again the background is fake, so they have to look at each other because there's nothing else to look
Because
at.
they can't move the camera because they would see set lights.
Exactly. So they're all kind of talking to each other, and Minos appears out of nowhere, shooting lasers out of his fucking eyes,
Badass, bro.
which is pretty neat.
Science.
The actor, is like, he's chewing the scenery. He shows up, he throws his hands up in the sky, and he is pretty much like science. And pew, 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 pew. Poseidon and one of the other gods.
Oh
Who cares? They run away, and
They just-
Minos.
Oh my god, I laughed out loud. This is the only part of the movie I actually laughed out loud. Like when Poseidon and that other lady just nope the fuck out of there.
Yeah,
And it's like a comedy framing of the scene. Like it's the camera's way pulled back, and then we just see them running off into the distance. Like, oh, you're on your own. Good luck.
it's Monty Python, right? Like at the end, when the people come with the nets to get them at the end of
yeah.
the Holy Grail, they're just like, "Fuck it, run!"
They're okay. These are deities who we've established can just lightning bolt in and out of scenes at will, and they run on their own 2 feet out of the cave. It's just
Yeah,
comedy, pure comedy.
it's such an odd choice to have, because Poseidon is always, he's like the bad. He's like the baddest badass of all the gods, right?
Yeah,
And
like
just
one
to
of the
see
big
him run
honchos.
away, it only takes one eye laser bolt to kill them, and they just disappear.
Power
And
science.
the power of science. Minos is talking to the last god standing, Hera, and they're talking about how Hercules will bow down to Minos and give him the lightning bolts. Meanwhile, Hercules and the gang are about to go to the edge of the world. And the only reason I know this is because they just say it. They're just like, hey, we're at the edge of the world.
Believe us.
At the lands of Desperia, the last bulwark before they get to Mount Olympus. I like that word, bulwark.
Bulwark.
And that is
That's
like
a
probably the most effective sword and sandal terminology that they used in the entire film.
that's a $10 word right there.
That is $10 of their $20 budget went to the dictionary to find that
We
word.
spend all our money on these thesaurus.
Hey,
Mamma mia.
as they go to the gate, there's horrible effects, and they go into the mirror universe thing from The Last Jedi.
Yes.
The Temple of Echoes, and there's like snapping their fingers. Rey shows up. They're like, "You're no one," but we all know Rey's going to be someone, but we didn't really expect her to be a Palpatine. Wait, that's the wrong movie.
Shit.
Anyways, so
The Rise of Hercules.
the Rise of Hercules. So they're in this mirror universe, and you can tell it's a mirror universe because like when they move, there's like a shadow effect. Like their
Oh yeah,
like their person isn't keeping up with their actions.
like a really cheap like video toaster mirroring effect.
Yes. And if you thought that was cheap, Hercules looks at the ground and goes, "Hey, there's a lightning bolt just
Good.
laying there."
Gee whiz.
That is the 6th lightning bolt, and he needs to get 7. And Zeus powers up his crown with 6 lightning bolts for some reason, even though he needs all 7 of them.
He gets like a 90% charge on his iPhone with
Yeah.
those 6.
Then out of nowhere, the other woman who's not Urania is a traitor.
Brunette, no.
Yes, and Minos shows up and goes, "Hey, you remember that brunette?" And they're like, "Yeah, she's standing right there." They're like, "Okay, remember how you left her at the beach when you went to go talk to the Atlanteans? Well, Poseidon showed up and killed her
And swapped her out with a doppelganger.
through the ocean." That's
Ocean
pretty
magic.
cool. But I mean, Poseidon, his realm is the water. So did she just like go into the water? Maybe she was just like, "Oh, let's
She's-
go for a swim."
Yeah, she's bored waiting for them because like 10 hours passed while they were chilling with the mermaid sirens, and so, yeah, she's in for a dip, and then whoops, ocean magic. She's a bad guy now.
Yes.
Wham
They
bam.
replaced her with a copy scientifically.
A science copy. Woo.
Minos said, "I killed 4 gods with chaos and science. We don't need Zeus. Give me the lightning bolts." And Hercules is like, "I don't want any part of this." Minos knocks out Hercules and says, "What if everyone was like Hercules, but scientifically better, with no remorse?" What?
I forgot about that line.
What
That's
does that
almost
even
like,
mean?
okay, now that you say that, it's almost like they're trying to do that thing from The Incredibles. Remember where
If everyone's a super, then no one's a
no
super.
one's a super? Yeah.
How lame, though. It's always one of those super villainy things where
yeah.
there's like some super villains that just want to destroy the world. And you're kind of like, but if you destroy the world, you destroy everyone. You need to be like a smart supervillain like Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom doesn't want to destroy the world. He just wants to rule the world, which
Yeah.
I get. He wants to be in ultimate control. But this character, Minos, he just wants to like fuck everything up.
Yeah.
And
That
if
doesn't
you
seem
mess
like a whole
everything
lot of fun
up,
for you.
yeah, exactly. The whole point of being powerful than the next person is to inflict your power
To
on them.
reap the spoils.
Yeah, hey, give me your lunch money, nerd.
Yeah. You're not out to like destroy the cafeteria because then you can't use that stolen lunch money to get food.
Exactly. Minos, despite the other woman being a very good doppelganger, is just like, hey, kill yourself, doppelganger, and she just does it.
That was
No
useful.
struggle. Urania goes off on Minos, and for some reason, then it cuts. Zeus is talking to Daedalus. Daedalus goes, "I control time, for I am the son of Kronos." And a laser skull comes from outer space and laser skulls Daedalus with lasers out of its laser eyes.
If this description, dear listener, is sounding a little confusing to you, that's because this movie has gone so far off the rails at this point that you can't even see the rails from the train anymore.
Yes. It was so left field for Zeus
Yeah.
to all of a sudden be so powerful that he can send laser skulls through space.
Yeah, that he's actually like, which defeats the purpose of collecting the lightning bolts to begin with, because if he's already still pretty powerful without all of them, like, why didn't he just intervene earlier?
He is 1 lightning bolt short. He shouldn't be able to do this. So now Daedalus is dead. Hercules wakes up and he sees Athena. Athena is like, "Hey, Hercules, here's a shield. It will protect you from Minos and his evil science."
Quote.
And Minos talks about how science has turned people into fighting warriors. And Minos goes into space and is now fighting Hercules in space. There's no ground in space.
No.
But these two are clearly standing on something. Right? And
space gravity, it's science gravity.
Science gravity. Minos is throwing energy, a pure cosmic energy at Hercules, but Herc is blocking it with his magic shield.
Because he's got one of those.
And then Minos goes, "Pure energy, cosmic light, and the sun's fire can't be stopped by his shield." But then Athena shows up. So when they start fighting like this, it's like 2 kids on a playground where it's like, "I shot you with super lasers."
No,
Like,
I got a shield that blocks the super lasers.
Well, then I got super duper lasers into super duper.
You can't do that.
That's exactly what this fight was like, because then Athena shows up and he's like, "Hey, Hercules, this sword," and she like tosses him a sword. This will fucking kill him. Don't worry about those other lasers.
That stupid sword of ice, that's nothing compared to this sword of ice too.
Yeah, and as he grabs the sword and he twirls it around and flexes off his rippling muscles, Hercules turns into blue lightning.
He becomes a rotoscope man.
Yes. And then he fights rotoscope warriors. And Minos is kind of just watching it because he's a bad guy. And instead of just going in there and helping him kill, he's just watching his bad guys get killed.
Yeah, let the henchmen do it.
But that's okay, because then Minos turns into rotoscope yellow lasers. and we get to see this rotoscope fight, which is pretty amusing, but then it gets really awesome when, I'm not even
Really
kidding
awesome.
here, Minos turns into a yellow dinosaur.
Yes, he
Uh,
does.
And
What the fuck?
Hercules, he's swinging his sword around and he realizes, oh my God, this is a futile effort. I'm going to turn into King Kong. So we
Yes.
get like this. I'm assuming, Greg, that this is a secret prequel to Kong versus
Yes.
Godzilla.
I am so happy that you said that too, because I have that written down in my notes too, which it's in all caps. Did this just turn into Godzilla versus Kong prequel?
Yes.
Oh
It's
my god,
it's
badass!
so insane. And Jackie was hearing me watch this, and I was laughing my ass off. Which to her equates to, at the end, she was like, she came out, she's like, wow, you must have really loved that movie. No.
Oh no! This is not I'm not laughing with the movie here.
I'm laughing at it. King Kong gets the T-Rex into like a headlock, and then the T-Rex turns into a serpent, and it starts, it's like a boa constrictor, and it starts constricting King Kong's neck, choking him out. There's like lightning flashes every once in a while as they hit each other.
Pulling out all the stops.
King Kong throws the serpent into outer space, and there's a giant yellow explosion where we see Minos's rotoscoped face screaming in terror.
Yeah, he threw that snake so hard it exploded.
Yes.
Science.
Zeus tells Athena that Hercules has won and killed Minos, because I guess Athena's fucking stupid and didn't realize it.
Duh, you killed that snake, good Hercules.
Yep. Zeus goes, hey, I need that last thunderbolt. And Urania goes, I'm your daughter, Athena. And in the the last lightning bolt is inside of me. Mom, I need you to kill me to get the last lightning bolt. I love you, Mom. Give me the kiss of death, Mom. Kill me, Mom.
Mommy, do it.
Athena kisses Urania and she dies. And she turns into a lightning bolt. As the world starts to crumble and the seas rise, and we see temples being shook to the ground, Zeus gives Hercules his powers, making Hercules into a fucking giant. He goes huge. Hercules blocks the moon from smashing into Earth, and he has like the Earth in one hand and the moon in the other, and he's stuck in between it, right? Kind of like
Mecha Hercules comes out of nowhere.
Atlas, right? Atlas carries the
the
weight
stones,
of the world on the shoulder. And then Hercules just pushes the Earth away and the moon. And I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna like fly off in outer space, and he just fucked things up even more.
Right? Like the orbits are already clearly fucked up because they're not like, it's not like a slow kind of what you would expect two gravitational bodies to how they would behave. They're like just racing towards each other. So like things are already kind of not good in the solar system right now. And he's definitely messing it up more.
But somehow the sun is able to get them back into orbit perfectly.
Yeah, no problem.
Zeus resurrects Urania and goes, you shall be a muse of space and a patron of astrology. And Hercules, you will shine amongst the gods. And he gets turned into a constellation. The end. That's the movie.
Ugh.
So, because we did end up watching the sequel, what I found interesting reading about the original movie was the original movie was written really hard R, Greg. It was actually supposed to be blood, guts. It was going to be a very mature movie. When they hired Lou Ferrigno to do the movie, he was like, no, this needs to be like a kid's movie. It needs to be a movie that the entire family can enjoy. And that's why I think the movie series is this weird kid-friendly hodgepodge of crap, because that's the audience.
It's funny you say that, and that's actually a really good theory, because I actually wrote in kind of like my overall thoughts section here, my notes, or like I get the distinct impression that this is one of those movies that people probably saw when they were kids and probably look back on fondly now. Like there's some nostalgia around it, because I can see kids really liking this movie. Mm-hmm. It's bright and flashy, and there's really not a lot of plot you got to pay attention to. It's like we said before, it's just basically an episode of Power Rangers. It's a strong guy fighting cool looking monsters, and then he wins in the end.
Yep.
It's a kids movie. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, there's really nothing more to say about it. This is, if you didn't see this when you were a kid, you're going to hate it. If you saw it when you were a kid, you're probably going to have some love for it and you're going to be entertained. But there's really no redeeming qualities in this movie.
No, I mean, aside from some, there was clearly effort put in by whoever did the special effects because there's like a lot of rotoscoping, a lot of like lightning effects, and they definitely didn't skimp on the painted in special effects. They have like almost every scene. They didn't use that stuff sparingly, so there's clearly some effort put in. You have to give it a little bit of credit almost for that, but literally everything else about it was just lazy, confusing, and lazy. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Which is shocking because in the mid 80s, sword sandal movies were kind of big. You had Conan, right? That was a really big Arnold film.
When did Conan come out? Was it in the 70s or early 80s?
I think I know Conan the Destroyer, the sequel, was definitely an 80s film. I think maybe Conan the first one was let's take a look here. Oh man. I think they're both pretty. Conan the Barbarian came out in 1982. Conan the Destroyer came out in 1984.
Oh, so this really was, I'm assuming the first one that we didn't watch came out in 83, right? So they were, I mean, in classic Italian ripoff style, like they were really capitalizing on a big hit, like you said, that just the genre in general was very popular.
Exactly. I like the sword and sandal genre, especially the 80 ones, because they're either going to be absolutely amazing or really bad, right? There's very few that are in that middle ground where you kind of just go, oh, it's all right. Obviously, I'm assuming that you've seen Conan the Barbarian, right? Oh, what is good in life? Okay, so Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer are. Well, Conan the Barbarian is a classic film. Conan the Destroyer is a little bit of a disappointment. So Conan the Barbarian is a hard R film. Blood, guts, boobs.
Is Conan in both of them?
He's in both of them, yes.
Okay.
Conan the Destroyer, the sequel, it got turned into like a PG-13 film, kind of a little more kid-friendly. Obviously, if it's more kid-friendly, you can get a bigger
Make more
box
money.
office return.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because they cut out all the cool things that made it awesome, it didn't do as well because it just wasn't as good of a movie.
Yeah,
so
shot themselves in the foot a little bit.
And we're gonna take a long road to get to my point here.
Buckle in.
Back in the 90s, the amazing 90s, specifically the USA Channel, when it was Arnold Schwarzenegger's birthday. This is how popular he was in our childhood. They would have an Arnold-thon where they would show Arnold Schwarzenegger movies all day
That's awesome.
long.
I don't remember that. That's awesome.
And I remember watching Conan movies, Terminator, Kindergarten Cop. There was always one movie, though, in particular, that I would get confused. It would get jumbled into the Conan memory. And I thought I was watching a Conan film for the longest time. It was a movie called Red Sonja. Have you ever heard of Red Sonja?
I have not, no.
Red Sonja is a comic book character. She's a badass warrior. It's awesome. It's also probably one of the more, I won't say obscure, but less talked about Arnold films because it didn't do that well.
So it's another sword and sandal movie that also had Arnold starring?
Yes, but not as Conan.
How odd.
Exactly. He was Lord Calidor. Now, originally, this film was supposed to be a Conan movie. He was supposed to play Conan. Red Sonja was supposed to be in it. There was supposed to be like this team up thing, but for some whatever reason, Conan, he wasn't.
couldn't get
character
some kind of
of
like
Conan.
IP fight
Probably
or something. Yeah.
Probably something really weird, right?
Huh.
Now
I've never heard of it.
I remember, again, this could be a Hercules moment here, though. I remember liking this movie. I remember the end fight being very interesting. I
Mhm.
remember the sword and sandal type deal going on. Pretty neat. I think it's time to execute another of other films, and we watch Red Sonja next. This
Oh.
is a Dino De Laurentiis film, right?
Okay.
It's by MGM, so it has a real, like movie studio behind it.
Yeah, like a proper director, a proper studio backing it.
Yes, I wouldn't look too much into the reviews for it because you're probably going to get a little turned off.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little scared of what
But
we're getting into.
I think a lot of Arnold films are kind of like that, though, right? Like Running Man, I don't think has like amazing reviews.
No, yeah.
But I
I
love the
like that
Running
idea.
Man.
I like the idea of watching this, which was a horrible train wreck of the genre, I assume. I haven't seen a ton of them, but I like the idea of maybe watching a better quality one right after, just to sort of like kind of get a good comparison there. Because I'm sure, I mean, we all know that Arnold, he's got a charisma all his own.
Yes.
He's fun to watch in pretty much anything. Lou Ferrigno, not so much. I mean, they've got probably comparable strongman body types, but Arnold has the acting chops to go with it. So I'm very interested to see what a proper charismatic hero is like in these movies.
The film stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bridget Nielsen in her first acting role.
When did this come out?
1985. So
Okay, so
this
I'm not
is
too far removed from this one.
exactly. So this is a little bit, I think 1 year, if not the same year as Rocky
Okay.
4, which is like probably one of the bigger movies that Bridget Nielsen did to bring her into,
Kind of
existence,
A-list, yeah.
right? The A-list that she quickly dropped off of.
The 80s A-list.
So I say we watch that one next. I don't know if it's on streaming anywhere. We can obviously take a look, but it's an Arnold film. It's even if you have to rent it, it's probably going to be worth your time.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple bucks in an Arnold movie, especially when, I mean, it's amazing how much of his filmography I either haven't heard of or haven't seen. I've gotten better in recent years. I actually just watched The Running Man for the first time not that long ago. So I'm very excited to see something truly like brand new to me.
I love The Running Man. Oh my God.
I didn't know Yaphet Kotto was in it.
Yes, I could sit here all day and talk about it. Jesse the Body Ventura is in it.
That's right. It's like an Alien Predator mashup of quality actors. Love
Mick
it.
Fleetwood's in it as Mick. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes, the
This movie's
movie
getting so much better in retrospect.
is awesome. I love that movie. There's so many Arnold tangent right now. There's so many Arnold movies that I legitimately like. I know he's not like the best actor, but I mean, you've got Conan, Terminator, Commando, Raw Deal, Predator, Running Man, Red Heat, Twins, Total Recall, T2. He had like 10
classics.
Classic movies like back to back to back.
Yeah.
That's insane for any actor to have.
Yeah, he is, you're right. He's not like a great like classically trained actor, but his kind of charisma and even like he's got a good comedic timing too sometimes. Like
yes.
He works really, really well in those kind of vehicles. And that's why, I mean, you have to like, it's not a coincidence that all of those classic action movies star Arnold. Like he's a big part of that formula for sure.
Yep. You don't have too many actors like him anymore. You have The Rock. He has like charisma. But The Rock just does
stinkers.
Yeah. As much as I like The Rock, a lot of his stuff is just crap.
Yeah. I guess so. I mean, going back to Hercules a little bit and Lou Ferrigno, he was probably better known for the Hulk TV show, right?
Yes. 100%.
I guess did he really have much of a film career?
No, I think a lot of that has to deal with his, his deafness and the fact that, because he was deaf, he has a speech impediment. I think the only other film that I know him in is I Love You Man with Jason Segel and Paul Rudd, where he plays himself.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Okay, wow. You need to watch that one. That one is that one's pretty funny.
I'm bad on modern comedies. You're gonna find that a lot with me.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Lou Ferrigno. You know, the bodybuilding, but he was never able to transition kind of like Arnold into film.
Yeah.
I feel like Lou Ferrigno was overshadowed by Arnold Schwarzenegger during that time. I've actually watched the documentary Pumping Iron before, and Lou Ferrigno's in that, and you can just tell that Lou Ferrigno knows he's being overshadowed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's just this bigger than life character.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's like not to like, rain shit on Lou Ferrigno all that much. Like he's like in the bodybuilding world, like he's a big dude. I mean, he in terms of like physique compared to Arnold, like he's got that kind of 80s action star body.
Yeah.
He just didn't measure up in terms of acting talent, and you can tell.
You know what? There is one other thing that Lou Ferrigno was in, and it's so weird.
Oh,
Do you
no.
know the TV show King of Queens with what's
With
his name?
Paul Blart Mall Cop?
Yeah, with Kevin James.
Yeah, yeah.
In the very early seasons of that, Lou Ferrigno plays Kevin James's next door neighbor, and he plays himself. He just plays Lou Ferrigno.
He's just Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty funny.
Man, I haven't
Wow,
thought about
that's
that in a long time.
That's a deep reference. I can't honestly, I can't say I've seen a single episode of that show. So good for
You know what
Lou Ferrigno for getting work though.
You know what I'm surprised of? That Lou Ferrigno was never in a Star Trek episode. He has like that bigger than life body. I'm surprised they were never able to put him in an episode.
Yeah, like that's a good point, because movies like Hercules and like genre movies and genre TV shows like The Hulk or Star Trek, he could have. Yeah, you're right. He works really well in that kind of. He's not like a leading man, but he's got that kind of. Yeah, that big muscle guy body that works well is like a big bad guy boss or a monster for the heroes to fight. Like he works really well in that kind of role. It's a shame that he didn't maybe he didn't want to embrace that as much, but like he could have been a great, like you said, like a great Star Trek or TV show character actor who could have been like the big guy who they all fight at that one episode.
I almost have to think that it is him going, I don't want to be the guy in the rubber suit.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the perpetual bad guy.
Yeah, he probably saw Arnold's like, meteoric rise as an action star and wanted a piece of that pie and tried, to the detriment of his own career, to chase that. And unfortunately, it seemed like he failed. And he instead of embracing the maybe just as valid but less star-studded career of being like a TV guy, he kind of nothing really worked out for him.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well,
poor guy.
Hercules. Luigi Cozzi, you weirdo, and your weird cash grab genre remakes. You're 0 for 2 as far as I'm concerned between Contamination and Hercules.
He got us again.
Yeah.
What's the quote of the week?
The quote of the week. So we talked a little bit about that weird, like shoehorned in science versus the gods thing. And the quote of the week was something I think you mentioned earlier on, which was the part where he gets the sword of ice, and we hear the line. Well, first of all, we get this long, stupid story, of course, about how this sword of ice was made 1,000 years ago. It's got the power to destroy a god, but it can only be used once. And then we get the glorious line, with this sword, science will triumph.
This sword of ice has existed from the beginning of time, and with it, you will have the gods at your feet.
I'll have the gods at my feet.
Yes, Minos. The sword was forged for Cronus at the time of creation, and later when Zeus conquered Cronus, I stole the sword and hid it for this occasion.
The gods have always underestimated me, Daedalus.
And they will be punished for it.
For the sake of my honor.
With this sword, science shall triumph.
Yes.
It is just such nonsense. It's like, oh my God, this magic sword, we're just going to, it's science. That's the science magic. Oh, it's perfect.
I love science. I love magic.
Science.
I love science magic.
Science, just a different kind of magic.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Isn't science, you could consider magic to be science, because if you don't understand it, it is magical.
Yeah, that's there you go. Way to inch up a little bit of credit in the in the Hercules realm. Way to go.
Well, hopefully the next movie, Red Sonja, is better. But I have to say, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Also, hit us up on YouTube. We have a YouTube. Just search for That's Canon and you'll find us. Go ahead and give us some constructive criticism. How can we make this podcast more enjoyable to you? Because this is what it really is all about. You can follow us on Twitter at That's Canon, and you can email us at That's Canon. That's CANNON at gmail.com.
Do it.
And remember, since we said it,
That's canon.
Her courage was forged out of fire. Her power, a gift of the gods. Her destiny, to become a glorious new hero. Red Sonja.